Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In today's session we are going to discuss about how to export a GridView to Excel. We will read the data from the database and we will bind to GridView. Whenever user clicks on export to Excel button, so we have to export this data to Excel. First we will see quick demo. So this is the example. We are going to create one HTML table. Then we will display one header row here, and here we created one GridView. So we are reading the data from the database and we are binding into GridView. Whenever user clicks on export to Excel button, we have to export entire GridView data to Excel. So click on export to Excel. So it is downloaded one Excel file. Open this. Click on yes. So this data has been exported to Excel. Like this, we can export GridView data to Excel. Before continuing with this session, I would request you to subscribe to my channel and follow my channel for latest video updates. For this demo, we are going to use Microsoft Visual Studio and we are going to use ASP.NET and C#. For database, we are using Microsoft SQL Server and we will read the data from the SQL Server. So these are all the implementation steps we have to implement one by one to get the output as we expected. First we have to create a web project, then we have to create one web form and we have to design the template as per our requirement like this. Then we have to create a connection string in web.config to read the data from the database. We'll read the connection string from web.config to get the data from database. Then we have to create a stored procedure to get the employee data. We have a table called employee master. From this table we have to read the data. For that we are going to create one store procedure and from there we will read the data from this employee master table. Then we will create one class file to store all our business logics and we will implement our business logics in the class file. Then we will create a function to bind the data to GridView. So finally we have to create one more function to export the data to Excel, and whenever user clicks on button we have to call the export function on button click event. Okay. We'll switch to Visual Studio and we will implement these steps one by one. I am using Visual Studio 2013 for this demo. First we have to create one new web project. For that click on File, New, click on Project. Under Visual C#, click on Web and you select the .NET framework, whichever is latest one, and select the web application. Here we have to provide the project name. Click on OK. Select the empty template. Click on OK. Our project has been created here. Then we have to create one web form. For that right click on the project. Click on Add. Click on New Item. Select the web form. We require web form. Here you have to provide the web form name. So we have provided web form name. Click on Add. Here you can provide the page title. Here we are going to use some styles for button and table header. For that we have to create one style sheet. Right click on the project, click on Add. First we will create one folder. It's called styles. Inside style folder we will add one style sheet. On the styles folder, click on Add. If you want you can add and root itself, not a problem. Add style sheet. You have to provide the style sheet name. I am creating as style sheet only. Click on OK. Our style sheet is created here. Here we can create our styles. Make things first, I kept style sheet ready. So I am going to use these styles for table header, and for button I am going to use this background color and text color alignment and all. It's basic things. Okay. Now we will design our template. Before that we need style sheet. Just drag and drop this style sheet here. So now we can call these styles inside our web form. First we will create one table and we will keep align center. Now we have to create one table row and table data. This is one row we created, inside that one column we are creating. Here I am going to display header as employee master data, and for this I will assign CSS class table header. Then I am taking one more table row here to display grid view. So we have to provide the ID here. I don't want to display auto generated columns. I am making as false, so we will create our grid view columns here. So to create columns, inside columns I am taking one ASP bound field and I need header text. So I am going to display first row number. For that you have to provide data field name. This data field name, whatever you are giving here, so it should match with your store procedure column name, otherwise it will throw the error. Okay. Then I need item style. Horizontally I want to align in center. So I am copying this bound field. So then I need name here. Then I need designation. We need salary. Then state. Then we need country. So this is extra, we don't want. Okay. Row number I want to display in center and name will be, I'll align left, and designation also I will align left itself, and salary I will make it as right, and state I will make it left, and country also I will make it left. Okay. So after grid view I need one more table row to display the message. Here I am taking one label to display the message. Font I am making as bold. For color I am taking as green. After the message I am taking one more table row, and here I am displaying one horizontal row, and finally we need one button here. I am going to display one button. Export. And the CSS class, we have created one CSS class for button, and whenever user clicks on this button we have to create one event, and whenever user clicks on this button we will export to Excel. So that's it, our design part is completed. Click on design and you can check the design part. So we can format the grid view. Click here, auto format. I'm going to use this template. We will align this button to center. Just I'm changing style here. So our design part is completed here. Next we have to create a connection string in web.config. We are going to read the database details from the web.config. So we have to create a connection string here. For that, double click on web.config. Here we have to create a connection string. Add name. Here we have to provide the connection string name. I'm providing as my connection, and the connection string. Here we have to provide the data source. For this demo we are going to use Windows authentication to connect SQL Server. So I am giving my PC name, that is demo PC, and we have to provide the database. We are going to use database called demo, then integrated security true. Okay, so our connection string is ready here. Next we have to create a store procedure to get the employee data from the database. For that we have to switch to SQL Server. So I am going to use SQL Server 2012 for this example, and I am going to use Windows authentication. If you want, you can use the SQL Server authentication and you can provide the login password here. Okay, so I am going to use Windows authentication. Click on connect. It's connected to my database, and we are going to use demo database here, and this is the table we are going to use, employee master. Right click on the table, click on select top 1000 rows, and we need columns like name, designation, salary, state and country. Along with that, row number also required. Okay, so we will create one stored procedure to get this data from the employee master table. For that, click on database, click on new query, create procedure. Here we have to provide the stored procedure name, get employees, begin, and we have to end here. Here we have to put our select query. So we need all columns like name, designation, salary, state and country. Copy these columns, select from employee master. If you want, you can type manually also. Name, designation, salary, state and country. Salary and country. So execute this select statement. So we are getting all the records. So along with this we need row number also. For that, row number one function is available over order by name. I need also this data, we will make it as order by name. So now we will get the row number and we will give the column name to provide the column name for this, and we used data field as row number, so same column name here we have to provide. Also this data field name should match with this stored procedure column names, otherwise you can't read the data from this database. Okay, so execute this select query now. We are getting row number along with the employee master data. So click on execute. Our stored procedure is created. You can refresh on programmability stored procedures. Refresh here. So this is our stored procedure. It's created. Select the stored procedure name. Click on execute. We are getting the data now. Now we will create a class file and we will store all our business logics here, and we have to read the data from business logic, and we will create a function and we will read the data from the database. Switch to Visual Studio, right click on the project, click on add class. So we have to provide the class name here and giving us employee data. Now our business logic class has been created. Now we have to create our business logics here to read the data from the database. Here we need namespaces called system.data, then system.data.SQL client, and also system.configuration. We need these three namespaces. Here we will create one function to read the data from the database, and we will store that entire employee master data into one data table. For that I am going to create one function which will return data table get employee data. This is our function name. First we have to read the connection string from web.config. For that, SQL connection, we have to read the connection string from our web.config. For that, configuration manager.connection strings. Here we have to provide our connection string name, so we can copy from our web.config. So you have to convert this connection string to toString. So now we are able to read the connection string from web.config. Here I need SQL connection, and the initial value I am providing null, and we need SQL command. Then we need SQL data adapter, and we need one data table to store employee information. Initially all the values will be null. Now we have to establish a connection between our database and our web application. Okay, for that, using connection, so we have to pass our connection string here. So now we have established the connection between our web application and database. Now we have to create command here. Command equal to connection dot create command, then command dot what type of command we are going to pass, the details we have to pass here. So we are going to use stored procedure. Then we have to pass the command text. Command text is nothing but our stored procedure name. So we can copy from our SQL Server. This is our stored procedure name. Use SQL data adapter, and here we have to pass our command to get the employee data. Then DT employees we have to initialize here. We have to fill with our employee table. Finally we have to return the data table. Here this function will return the data table, that's why I am returning this employee data. Okay, our function is ready now. We are able to read the data from database. Okay, then we have to create a function to bind the data to GridView. First we have to bind the data to GridView. Then we will create a function to export the data, and we will call this export function in button click event. Okay, so go to your ASPX page, right click on that, click on view code, create one private function to bind the employee data. This is our function name. So before creating this function, we have to initialize our business logic here, that is BLL employee data. We have to create one object here. So now we can communicate with our business logics. Here we need one namespace, system.data. So here I am creating one data table, and I am assigning one object here. Initially it will be null. Then I have to get the employees data from our business class, employee data, where we will get the data from this get employee data function. Okay, so whenever there is a records inside this data table, we have to bind the data to our grid. dt employees dot rows dot count is greater than 0. That means if there is any records available in the data table, we will bind to our grid view. gv employee data, you have to provide the data source first, that is our data table name, and we have to bind the data now. Suppose if there is no data available in the data table, so that time we have to display the message to user in the label. Okay, suppose while executing this function, if there is any error, we have to catch that. For that, select entire function, right click, surround with. Always we have to keep it in try catch block, so that if there is any error we can catch easily. So we will display message on label, that is ex.message. Okay, I want to change this text 4 color to red. Okay, so whenever page loads, we have to bind the data to grid view. For that, we have to call this function in page load. If it is not post back, then we'll call this function and we will bind to grid view. Okay, then finally we have to create one more function to export the data to Excel. We are going to create one more private function to export data. This is our function name called export. Here I need string writer, so we have to import one namespace called system.io obj string writer. Also we require HTML text writer. I'm creating object as text writer. There is any records available in grid view, that time only we have to export the data to Excel. For that I am validating here gv employee data dot rows dot count. If there is any row is available, then only we have to try to read the, then only we have to export the data to Excel. For that, employee data show header, we required header, yes, that is if you want to display this header in the Excel or not, we want to display. Then we need grid lines here, so we want to display grid lines both. Then string writer we have to initialize here. Also HTML text writer. Here we have to pass this string writer. Now we have to clear the response content first before exporting to Excel. Then we have to clear the buffer. Then we have to add the header here. Here you have to pass content disposition. Then we have to pass string format. What type of string we are going to pass? Attachment. Then we have to pass file name. File name I am going to create as employee master, and I want to provide date here. Datetime dot now dot date plus here we have to provide the dot xls. So now we added header. Then we have to pass what type of content it is. Response dot content type. This is MS Excel. Finally we have to render this GV employee master GV employee data dot render control. So you have to pass the HTML text writer. Write our string. So we have to convert into string. Finally response dot end. So we have to close here. So this function we have to call in whenever user clicks on button, that time only we have to call. Okay. Also we have to keep this entire function inside the try catch block. If there is any error we can catch easily. Surround with try, and I'll copy the same thing here. It's exception ex. So now we will be able to catch if there is an error, if there is any error in the function. Now build the application. There is no error. Run the application now. So there is an error. So state was not found on the selected data source. We have to check here. Yes, 2 times we added salary only. There is no state. That's why it is showing error. So now we added state. Click on execute. So we have to alter this store procedure. So I run the application now. So it's binding the data as we expected. Click on export Excel button. So Excel has been downloaded here. Click on Excel file. Click on yes. So our data has been exported as we expected. That's it. Like this we can export the GridView to Excel. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. And I'm going to share this source code in the description. You can download for your reference purpose. Thanks for watching my video.